Hello, hello. I am Ben Pick, and thank you for joining me in Writing to Write, where I used to give questionable writing advice through writing metaphors, but have since switched over to hosting these productivity sprints as I work to finish my fourth novel in my ongoing series, and I will continue to work on the fifth and sixth novels in that series. Sorry, I am a little bit out of sorts tonight because some of my stuff, I guess I bumped it or something, so the microphone is a little bit off, but fix it. Yeah, so we are hanging out here. Going to start some productivity sprints soon. We do a 30-minute sprint first, then two 20 minutes, and then I close things out at 7:30. Um, yeah. So kind of out of sorts this past week. I have been working overtime, voluntold to do things because my uh, schedule was crammed. They kind of oversold the work that I need to do, and I'm one of the only people at my company who can do the work just because of who has. It's not even like I'm the right person. It's just I happen to have the right level of access on specific clients. So we have one client who, there's a very small pool of people to pull from for completing that work. And then we have another one who has, again, it's a small pool of people who are available to do the work. And of those, I think I'm the only one who does the type of work that I do for that specific client. So there's a pool of one, and they've been waiting for a couple months to get me in the schedule. And then they expand their scope. The other client expand their scope. There's no room to budge on either of them because they need to get the work done. And looks like I'm just going to have to work some overtime on both. Yeah. Anyways, it's real fun talking with scheduling about that because they regularly overbook me. So there's like a placeholder to prevent them from doing that. And so every time they're like, "Hey, do you mind if we just remove this placeholder?" Because in addition to my actual tasks, I also have managing tasks to do. And it's like, "Hey, do you mind if we remove this placeholder?" I'm like, "No, do not do that. It's there for a reason." But sometimes it can't be moved, so it's just like, "Well, we need to get this work done. So there's really nothing we can do." Oh well. Anyways, the work itself, I don't know, varies about interesting. It's a little bit outside my usual standard work week. So, fun times. All it means is I'm kind of crammed. I basically just signed off of work a minute ago and headed down here to write. So, trying to get back into a mindset of creativity and not being, crushed under ongoing pressures. Let's see here. Richard, I have been getting major props at work for some vibe coded internal tools you made. Nice. Way to go. Way to go. Way to go. Yeah. Best part of Monday. I guess so. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, it's a Monday, so the week can only go up from here. That's something I regularly say. And oh right. Statuses. So I did finish what I wanted to do. I did a couple of rounds of I guess the chapters 27, 28. Don't quite remember. Either way, I'm up to chapter 30. My plan is to do 30, 31, 32 during these sprints. And then over the course of the week, probably do a little bit of review of those. So specifically, last week I made a couple of small. On paper, they were minor tweaks, but overall they change um, the entire world building of this series of this book and where I plan to go for ultimately the end of the series. Um, so I need to do some planning for that and to make sure that in the eventual ending to the series, I didn't just create a plot hole or contradiction or paradox, however you want to describe it, however you want to think about it. Being intentionally vague here. But either way, I'm starting off in chapter 30. My book is 40 plus an epilogue, so I want to try and get to 32. So 30, 31, 32. And then by next week, next Monday, I want to be up to 35. And so that pace will get me to complete an iteration of my book roughly at about the same time when I get the proofreading back, and then I'll just start and go right through it um, from start to finish again, this time with proofreading comments from the professional editor. Whew. So there are a lot of plates that I'm juggling up in the air, and yeah, let's get started on the first sprint. So this one. All right, well, I will see you all on the other side of 30 minutes. Hopefully my plan is, well, my plan right now is to be done with chapter 30. It's a little bit short, so I'll be 30 and then halfway through with 31. I think that'll be a good pace. So I will see you all in 30 minutes. Welcome back. I had a very, very productive sprint. So I finished chapter 30 and chapter 31, which is well beyond what I thought I would be up to. And so I'm going to work on 32, possibly getting to 33. 32 is a little bit longer, so I don't know if I'll be able to do much more than one full chapter of edits. Depends on how many edits I need to make. There were few small tweaks in 30 and 31 where it has a lot of potential repercussions. So I want to make sure that I wasn't fixing one thing and creating a whole bunch of other issues. So hey, Richard, awesome. You have some new details on your cover design saga. I guess, is that in addition to what you told me about, or is this sorry, has anything new happened since the last update you gave me, or is this I guess, is that just a general, you have updates from today? Because it's hopefully things will work out. I don't need to share your details, but it sounded like your cover designer went MIA, and they might be back now because they were really sick, and so hopefully it means that they will actually get around to doing it for you. Yeah. Good luck. Yeah. So I hope you. I hope that person delivers on what they promised, and that you don't need to go to whatever the equivalent of the Better Business Bureau is in the UK to try and get either your money back or to get that cover designer to follow through, which sucks because that cover designer came recommended to you, so it wasn't like you just finding some random person on the internet. Because if you'd use, say, Fiverr, or basically just went to Google and typed in cover artist and then just pick somebody randomly from that, I feel like the onus is on you. But since you told me, since this specific person came as a recommendation and they're doing something very, very specific to what you're looking for, I do hope things work out, because that will give you a lot more creativity. So, for instance, I use MeepleArt, and I love their cover designs, but they use kind of stock photos. So they have, generic teenage model here, generic model here, generic shadow. So the shadow monster was actually pretty cool. It was kind of like this monstrous form that they had, and then they just manually put the shadows and clouds over it so that it looked more like a shadow monster, and sort of blurred the underlying physical features. But it is limited in what they do, and I can see some of the shortcuts that they use, and yes, they are significantly better at Photoshop than I will ever be, but I do absolutely see some limitations, because it's basically like, hey, here's, stock photo of stairs, and then they just kind of arrange it. They're limited in what they can do because it's a stock photo, a stock element within a photo, or whatever, however you want to describe it. And, they can rotate around, but they can't, like, redraw it. So they're very good at using a tool set, but the tool set is a box with limitations. That's the best way I can do it. Describe it. Let's see here. MeepleArt's premium service was a potential option if I wanted to splash out for this one. Awesome. No. Yeah, exactly. It's twice as expensive as what I'm doing, although I guess with all things considered, I think it's about $400. So the difference is only about $200 at that point. But it works for what I want. Especially since at this point in the series, the thing that I want the most is cohesion. And I want every book in the series to look like it came from the same place. So at this point, they're using stock images, stock elements, stock photos, whatever you want to call it. and then they're kind of manipulating those however they see fit. So I want to try and do the same thing through the entire series. Yeah, they're good at what they do sometimes. However, they do have limitations, and in I guess the first one, I kind of had a vague idea of what they wanted, and they really just over delivered on that one. So that's a very high expectations. Falling through was the first one. Expanding cracks, I kind of drew out everything that I wanted to do, and there was some going back and forth about, hey, how do you draw this? I'm like, well, it's in the really bad drawing that I sent to you all about what I want, and so they kind of just did what they could, I guess is the best way of putting it. They didn't really have an idea of what they wanted to do or how I should convey it because it's something very specific that there wouldn't have been a stock image for. Same thing with 3, where I had to basically draw out like I had to do a lot more drawing than I thought I would, considering that this cover is fairly simple. It's a fallen building. There's a person walking out from a portal, and then there's footsteps that they're following. That's basically all of it, but I had to do quite a bit more descriptions than I thought I would need to. And same is true for the 4th one. I basically drew up a really crummy sketch, and I'm like, hey, look at this thing. This is what I want. Just do that, but like good. And they kept not doing what I asked for, and they kept throwing their own things because, again, they're limited with the stock photos, stock images that they can use, and so if what I want doesn't match any of the items that they have or the elements that they have, they can't really do a whole lot with it. And so, yeah, there are shortcuts. All that to say, Richard, I hope you have the best, because it sounds like your artist that you've hired can do something very custom. Yes, there is also a language barrier, so you go through an intermediary. And I swear I delivered the same. I mean, I obviously sketched it slightly differently, but like ultimately, I kept delivering the same hand-drawn sketch just over and over again to try and point out what I wanted, exactly how I wanted it. But anyways, yeah, overall, I really am happy with the way Meeple Arts things worked. And let's get started on sprint number 2, because I have stalled for long enough. I'm probably going to go right into sprint number 3, because it's almost dinner time. So I will see you all in 20 minutes, and I might do a little closeout wrap up after that. And then we'll do the third and final sprint, where I'll do the actual wrap up. So see you in 20 minutes. And welcome back. That was the second sprint. I finished two whole chapters, so I am starting up with chapter 34. 34 is also a short one, so I might be able to do 34 and 35. Yeah, 35 also looks a little short. So I might be able to get up to 35, in which case I would probably try and get to 37, maybe 38 by next Monday. I think that's doable. So with that in mind, um, I don't really have anything else. It's going to be a pretty exhausting week. Like I said, I'm working overtime, so I don't know how much writing I'll be able to do. Probably just going to spend most of the weekend trying to nap. Um, Unsure. I was hoping for the same thing last weekend, but I ended up spending a lot of time fixing up around the house and getting things done just in general in life and whatnot. So I don't know. Um, it would be nice if I can get some editing time in. I don't know how likely that is. More important than that, though, it would be nice to get some sleeping in. But again, that's going to be unlikely. Um, just because of workout schedules, physical therapy, taking dog to park, just everything in general. So, anyways, this week will be very exhausting. I will see you all next Monday. Um, that's yeah. I don't really have a whole lot for that. It's just a general same time next week. So I will see you all then, and let's get started on the third and final sprint for the night. Going on mute, and hopefully I will finish chapter 34 and 35 before the night finishes, before the productivity sprints finish. So going on mute, and I will see you all later. And welcome back for the conclusion of the third and final sprint. I only got done with chapter 34. I will work on chapter 35 sometime later this week, hopefully. If not, I'll start there on Monday and be right where I plan to be, but I would much rather be ahead. So if I can do 35, 36, maybe 37, that would be awesome. I have no idea where I'll be. I have no idea what my week looks like. I have no idea what my weekend will look like. But anyways, yeah, so I spent a full 10 minutes tweaking and rewriting this one sentence. This one sentence that's basically just a throwaway. It was pretty cool, but I didn't like how it sounded. I didn't like how, I didn't like how it sounded when I read it out loud. I didn't like how it felt. And so I tweaked it and tweaked it and tweaked it. I have a note to myself that the next time I go through this to read it and make sure that I like it. It was basically a third person point of view that was kind of in a person's thoughts already, but since I threw in this person's thoughts throughout the chapter, I just changed it to first person, but I didn't like the phrasing there, so I had to do some tweaking there and massaging there. I also didn't like a metaphor. That was another big thing. So I spent, I guess on these two sentences, I spent about 3/4 of the time on them. And I kept changing this one metaphor to be a slightly different metaphor, to changing and changing and changing and changing. And finally, I think I liked it. I ended up with something that I like by being much simpler. So the metaphor is less descriptive, but it still conveys the same imagery that I want to invoke. And with that, I'm done tonight. It is a Monday, so again, the week can only get better from here. Hopefully I'll catch up on my sleep by next Monday. I doubt it, but you never know. I might, I don't know. I might just get done with work, pass out immediately, and then sleep until dinner and eat, and then, relax after that. We'll see. I had a thing. Oh, yeah. Anyways, I will see you all next Monday, 6 p.m., and take care and have a wonderful week. Bye. Too many buttons. There we go. End stream. See you next Monday.